Welcome to the Galvanize with Gavin podcast. This is your host, baseball player and entrepreneur, Gavin Johns. This podcast will empower you to reach your fullest potential in life. Inspirational stories, keys to success, and practical methods to overcome life's challenges will be revealed. I encourage you to be the light in the lightning and spark a positive change in the world today. How's everyone doing? Welcome to the Galvanize with Gavin podcast. Excited to announce our special guest today. He is an entrepreneur. He is chairman and founder of Realm, cryptocurrency, NFT, blockchain expert. He doesn't like to admit that, but I'll like to admit that for him. He knows more than most. Obviously, we're always still learning, but he's spent a lot of time in those areas, and we're going to get into it today. He's got a lot of other interesting ventures that he's into, and just an awesome man as well. So without further ado, Manny Roman, thanks for coming on, my man.
Thank you for having me. I've been a regular watcher ever since I met you. I've been like, this Gavin fellow, he's an interesting dude, and congratulations on the signing. I have you on my phone as Big Leagues Gavin.
Let's go. Yeah, God willing, of course. One day, my man. One day, one day at a time, as I like to say.
Yeah, same with our new world and our new economy and all of this. Like the whole expert thing, sometimes it's like you can engulf yourself into something so much and learn so much about it, but something so big tends to be such a moving target, and it's enabling for society and communities to come together and be organized in such a way through the three elements that you mentioned: crypto, NFT, and blockchain, and how they all coordinate and move around and help each other.
Absolutely. I love that. So, for the first question, I just wanted to ask, as you mentioned, there's a shift going on, from traditional to more modern in technology, and it's having a big effect on a lot of things, for better and for worse. I like to think it's for better, and we're improving and revolutionizing things in different areas. What are your thoughts on that? And then what are your thoughts on how that relates to, money and banks, converting into this cryptocurrency? Just your initial thoughts on that.
Look, I think with the idea of a consensus where there are thousands, if not maybe hundreds or millions or however many people that you join a particular community, which now are being called DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, where all assets are brought to a pot, and it's up to the entire community to vote upon how these assets and value is deployed. Think of it like a co-op, like a business structure that exists right now in the US, where you can go and create a co-op, and all the participants of that company are owners of it. So crypto, in its essence, it's the ability to own a network. It's if you were to, every time you post something on Instagram, Instagram sends you a check based off of your involvement, kind of the way YouTube does it, but a little differently, where it's like everyone has ownership of what it is. There's nothing left out. I think that with that environment of people transacting, whether it would be a tangible or an intangible, or an intangible trading into a tangible, and all that interchangeable ability is, it's very valuable, and it's a high tide rise all ships kind of approach to business. It's free market, true free market.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot more freedom in that aspect, as you said. And so I guess you kind of hinted on it a little bit, just, kind of summarizing, I guess, what cryptocurrency is. And would you mind giving us kind of the cliff notes, because, it's new for a lot of people, including myself. And if you wouldn't mind just giving us the cliff notes on, cryptocurrency and blockchain and NFTs as well. I know you're knowledgeable in that field as well.
So the way I view all these things is, it's when people try to touch on individual topics, it's hard to digest. But when you talk about all three very briefly, it tends to help when you go to explain what everything is. The way I view all three elements is they're all crucial to each other to exist in this new world ecosystem. I define a cryptocurrency as a store of value, an exchange of value of an actual currency. It could be monopoly money, whatever it is. If I'm giving you a $10 monopoly bill and you somehow find $10 worth of that, then here we go. It could be between you and I only, or this might be not real money, but hey, we can transact with it. So community, crypto is community. NFT is just the way any business was run right now with the contract. So these are smart contracts that can be anything can be created as an NFT. So it's how we transact with those are through these smart contracts, and how we build our reputation and actually move these payments around, and we'll create a ledger really of just like all of the transaction form of everything that happened between us is a blockchain. So then people can see, or not even people, or even just like systems and algorithms can see that Manny and Gavin have completed $5.2 million of transactions across like maybe it's 180 transactions over the past 3 years. So the way I tie it into the real world right now is using examples is by saying, well, if you ordered something off the dark web and it showed up on time as described, would you order again? Like probably. Yeah. Why not? Right? Yeah. So with this is something where it's like you are a number on like a private key on like a Web3 solution, right? But then you are a name in the real world. So like this is kind of the way it ties in, because these systems are going to know that our number in our system are tied together, you and I, and we've had all these transactions. Now, someone from the outside can say these two are either gaming the system or they're actually really talented, and I can transact with them. And they can even see it in the real world. Manny has this car or house for rent, and they wanted to give me value of SEO work, or they wanted to like create content for me, or whatever it might be. I can value that a certain amount, and I can value my property a certain amount. And the property is tied to the dollar, which is a very interesting way to approach Web3. It's tacking on these assets into an asset and value exchange pool.
Awesome. So, awesome. No, that was an awesome breakdown, and very impressed, of your knowledge in those fields, and just taking these complex issues and simplifying them, so people can understand. You've obviously, you put a lot of time and effort into learning those things. So that's amazing. That's amazing.
I think it's important. I think it's could be our saving grace to doing what we do best for what we need most. Because I find a lot of talented people that are going through hard times, and then I see the extra rich looking for help. So it's like you have this like it's almost like there needs to be like a talent agency that self-brands people and individuals, and that's kind of what we're doing at Realm, where we want to extract the value out of people and build people's on-platform reputation, therefore their brand. So it's like we know that your identity is tied to your identity and your brand are two different things. Your identity is like your property you have in the physical world, and your brand is like your access, what you have access to, right? Your intention in the world is your identity, but your impact is your brand. So creating something where people can see exactly what your intentions are and what's been done in the real world to help an overall like, digital community. One of these DAOs, in fact. It's the most trending thing right now that everyone's joining the DAOs. Yeah. Trillions of dollars are in these things.
Yeah, no, I love it. Being at the front, being right at the front. And no, that's definitely awesome. So if you wouldn't mind just going a little deeper in Realm, what you all are doing today with the company, and maybe in the future, what you're looking to go forth towards, would you say?
So Realm is a value exchange marketplace of between people, property, and experiences. We believe at Realm that you can join a network and tell that network what skill you have and skill you need, and then what property you have and property you need, and what experience you have access to. And then we can transact and exchange value within this network. So like it could be any form of property, anything that can be deeded or titled, or you can put a fair market value on its on the daily rental, weekly, monthly. Could be a yacht, could be a house, could be a jet ski, could be a car, whatever it might be. And it's a peer-to-peer value exchange marketplace. So I can say, Gavin, if you're visiting Los Angeles, I have a house and car for you, and it's valued at maybe and it's not so like tit for tat with everything. And sometimes there's strangers, and sometimes there's people in your network that you know, but you can always approve any kind of request. And especially if you're just like a skill looking for a property, there's a certain approval process that takes place with that. But if we have an even valued property that we want to exchange,
Mm.
then you have direct access to that person. There's all sorts of privacy settings, and never will ever sell any kind of data. And all matches are suggested because that's kind of like our new way of viewing the internet. Instead of searching like we are right now, we should just be shopping our options. Like we know what skills we need. We know, and maybe personally, maybe business. We know what property we have, and we can add them to these networks and even experiences. And through the experience side of things, that's where we really build some value, because that's all monetary. What is it worth to you to show up to this yacht party? And maybe there's celebrities, maybe there's influential people in your industry, in your line of work, and it might be valued to you at hundreds of thousands of dollars, while it could be valued to somebody else is like $100. Like, who knows?
Mm.
But that's where it makes some margin. And um and I just feel like it's the future of it is going to be a suggestive internet. That's the ability that this has. It's a
Mm.
very suggestive way to live, work, and play.
Definitely, definitely. No, I love that combination. That's key. And so kind of kind of building off that, it sounds like, you're doing a lot of, amazing things, and you're right at the front lines of this, technology boom, as far as, these, exchanges go on these platforms with different values, and providing the best, opportunities for people. And so I wanted to ask, being a business savvy man yourself, what three keys to success in business would you give other people? Would you say?
Three keys I would say is follow your path, like know your path. Um, be as transparent as possible. Like you got to live in your business model. Like that's essentially what I try to do. Like I don't own $500 million of real estate. I have access to a lot of stuff because I am talented photographer and videographer, and I could go in there and create videos for property managers to gain access. So I would say also trust. You'll get so far. Like on my Wall Street days, they would train us to get on the phone and talk to these real estate brokers and sell them based off of us getting to understand who they are and asking all the right questions. And like you tend to trust people that 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 know most about you.
Mm.
So there's a couple different tactics and strategies there, where it's like family, occupation, recreation, dreams, schooling, all sorts of topics to like to gain trust in somebody. And also execution, being able
Mm.
to just pull the trigger. Like I don't wait on things. If there's a thing that something has to happen, it's like it has to happen within the next 24 hours. Otherwise, it's just never going or it's not going to be as pure. It's not going to flow as easy, especially if it's like an idea or a concept or like a strategy they have to share with somebody else. I like to send it immediately, just like action.
Action. Love that. Love that. So, no, those were great. You gave me four, which was we got the bonus one there, and
Yeah,
that's
probably was it
great.
more. I guess I
I
could.
love that. You said
Yeah.
you said follow your path. You said be transparent. You said trust and execute. Those are four
All
great pillars
right.
that a lot of people got to live by. And I can honestly say for myself that you do live by those things. You're just not a guy who speaks eloquently and talks about all these things. Like you live it too. That's one of the things that I value about you. And obviously Noli as well,
Mhm.
the mutual friend that introduced us to each other. He has a lot of the same traits too. So I definitely, those are honorable characteristics. So thanks for sharing that.
It's a wild and interesting world, and you kind of just have to remain who you are. And
Mm.
we've all had our ups and downs, and in crazy times like this, it's just important to remain genuine and be on your best behavior. Like
Yeah.
just do right, and like
Mhm.
and it's hard sometimes to always be like this person that is here to help everyone and be everyone. You just got to know that as long as yourself,
Yeah.
your mental state is healthy,
Mhm.
and where you're where you're living is like a healthy arrangement, you'll be just fine.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No, I like what you said about that. It's like you have to take care of yourself before you're able to take care of others. And you can't pour from an empty cup.
This one's
And
full.
yeah, there you go, there you go. No, that's awesome, that's awesome. So, about maybe some of those things. You mentioned the highs and the lows. Just in life, but in business. In some of your situations. What are some common business challenges that entrepreneurs like yourself may face, and then how do you work to overcome those challenges, would you say?
So some of the things where it's like above my pay grade things where it's like, oh, I don't know what the first thing about this. Like you have to I sit down and I really just start trying to do it myself. I remember I wasn't like an Excel spreadsheet like pro like
Mhm.
short as like 6 years ago. But I went in there, I'm like, all right, I have to do this projection. I have it all in my head. Maybe I could just figure out. It just comes down to YouTubing. Like you can learn anything on YouTube. It's like these, even something as simple as like an Excel formula. You just go into YouTube and you figure out yourself. But it's knowing the boundary between, look, maybe I can teach myself Excel, but I'm not going to try to rebuild uh, a 2000 Bentley Arnage 6.75 liter turbo engine. Like,
Yeah.
you got to know where like the time
Yeah.
versus like reward threshold is.
Yeah.
And sometimes people suffer with that because they don't know that it's quite simple to just go on to an Upwork or a Fiverr or like make a post about looking for a specific skill, and how easy it would be to find someone either to work, which is a beautiful thing about crypto, sometimes just for a digital currency, or sometimes for access to property,
Yeah.
or access to actual dollars, the fiat currency. It's like a dollar. So the challenges are just really knowing what is going to be, how often are you going to be using this skill over and over again? Is it a copy and paste like on a weekly, on a monthly? And if not, or if and how much time it takes. And if those two don't align right, you have to just say and accept the fact that that's not what you do, and you must hire or just find someone else that's willing to be inspired by your project and be a part of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I love that. I love that. Those are good. I'm always curious, how people do overcome, certain challenges that they face, because a lot of things they come up unexpected. You know what I mean? And it's such, the world is so uncertain. So many things come our way, and just like COVID, we had to find a way to adapt, and it's always changing, like you said, in the free world. I guess the next question I had was, from your experience, as an entrepreneur, what advice would you give someone like myself, a younger entrepreneur, that's getting into different projects and ventures, would you say?
Well, that would all depend on the involvement of the ventures. Like if you're joining a project with some friends and you're kind of new at the game, I would just make sure that the guys are staying active and like really like
Yeah.
you're in like the Slack channel. There's some form of communication where there's updates happening and there's excitement. Projects that aren't worked on a weekly basis. Even sometimes you can't be daily on some of these projects because they're passion projects or whatever. But you need to know that there's some kind of dialogue that's happening within that organization, of course. And I would say that it's really important to understand fully what you're getting into, especially with crypto projects, because they'll come and go. Like anyone can just mint out a billion tokens on and like start a company and say, hey Gavin, I want you to be co-founder, I'll give you 500 million tokens to be my partner. It's like it's all, and then that company could just go away, but it could be
Mhm.
real, it could be real for a short time.
Mhm.
So maybe if we're talking about crypto projects specifically, that's something to look for. Also, that there's a team that's actually working the project. That's very important.
I love that. I love that. No, those are good. Those are two solid pieces of advice, and I'll definitely take them into account, and a lot of the listeners will too. We have people from all different types of backgrounds listening to the podcast, different career paths, And I'm a big believer that you can learn something from everybody,
Yeah.
and so no, that's
Because
awesome.
based on the last question you were talking about, it's all about perspective also.
Yeah.
Like getting advice from people is one of the best things you can do in business. It's
Mm,
like these perspectives come from like the guys that I talk to, they're ranging from as young as 22 all the way to like 65, 70 years old. It's all over the spectrum, and getting different perspective is so valuable because can also relate a little bit better. Because if someone's coming from, I got guys that are like 65 years old that I know that are like real estate investors. They don't know a single thing about crypto. They have no idea,
yeah.
and they're just like so lost when you even start talking about it. But if like
Yeah.
some of them are into realm and they're starting to get it over time because they give me access to their property, and I'm like, yeah, you can go negotiate like what it is, like the work that I do for them. And a lot of it's just like, look, don't worry about that. Like you gave me that $9 million building for 9 months. Remember, like I will handle that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
fair. It's all fair. As long and going back to the other question of like the business stuff, where it's like trust and transparency. It's like you have to act in service. A lot of acting in service, like you win people over this way. Because let's
Mm,
face it, like we all have our dreams, we all have our aspirations. It's hard to build an army or back that up and follow you sometimes.
yeah.
So people love it, especially like wealthy and successful business people. It's like do something for them, act in service, and it'll come back around to you.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. I'm actually been reading through the book Think and Grow Rich, and that's Napoleon Hill. I'm sure you're familiar with the book. That's one of his things. Is like
Sales guy.
not what can you do for me. It's like how can I serve you? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And everything comes back around. That's how the world's designed. But so much people are always looking at like how can you help me? It's like you got to help people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's awesome.
That's why I'm in love with this. Like people like to call it the Web3. I don't really like. I think it's just a new way of transacting in this world. I love the idea of, hey, let's, even if it's 10 of us, let's all 10 of us put all of this skill and experience and property into a pot, and let's all talk about how we want to extract value based off of an end goal,
Mm, yep.
right? Like our end goal is to maybe create an environment with Car Club where people can swap in and out of similar value cars, different category. Okay. So let's say all 10 of us through like whether it be money, whether it be cars, whether it be know-how of how to build an actual technology and build it out. And we all come to the table and we vote upon how, like, what is Gavin doing? Gavin's going to build the platform. He's our developer. Okay, well, we can go off and we have $100,000 in our treasury. What does Gavin need in order to get this done? Now, Gavin has access to that house. He has access to all the properties in our platform, in our network. But maybe Gavin just wants cash. So we submit the request, right, of Gavin being the developer, the deadlines, the timing, everything like a regular spec sheet would look for, like when you're drawing out and you want to develop a technology. And it's simply submitted and everyone votes, and it's all pseudonymous too. So pseudonymous, so you can't really see who's voting what. So it eliminates all the political side and like the social issue sides of things. Whereas like I could probably essentially I could tell you I'm voting yes, but vote no, but no one would ever know.
Yeah.
I guess in the arrangement where like everyone votes one way.
Yeah.
That would be a rarity, I guess. And most things that are presented pass anyway. I find when I'm looking at some of these DAOs, like there's things that are like, yes, this is like reasonable.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. The next question I have for you is who are the three people, businessmen or businesswomen that have inspired you the most, or are currently inspired you, or currently inspiring you, or maybe both? What would you say the three businessmen or women that inspire you the most?
Hmm. I would say, I don't really call out too many people like this often. There are some like influencer kind of guys that made it by hustling with like Gary V, who is a guy who, like he's like your Craigslist hustler,
Yeah.
and like I I I can totally respect that. Like I think everyone that has an open mind they have to get into the trenches and like understand what it was and like and build yourself up and what the value of a dollar is. I look at it as when I look for someone that I admire and somebody and I'm inspired by. I look at somebody who speaks the truth. Who that this would be someone um, like my father definitely speaks the truth, and it's a big lesson to anyone that's in business where it's you don't necessarily have to be in big business to understand like to pull principles that go into from real life that transact into business. Because if you say you're going to do something, you ought to do it. Like my father was a Marine, so if they were to say something and not do it, like
Yeah.
lives are lost.
Yeah.
So it's one of these like basic principles that can truly help. And to name, I guess Gary Vee's not like my number one guy. It just kind of pops in my head.
Yeah, no particular order. No particular order.
Yeah, in no particular order here.
No disrespect to Pops either for putting
Oh
him up.
yeah. Oh yeah. And then it's also someone that like wants to follow their dreams and are willing to devote their life to helping others doing so. Like any motivational speaker, like the Les Browns of the world, like the Tonys of the world, like what are they doing? What are they doing in their careers? They are showing people, they're giving people the template to perform at their highest level, and they're giving examples and analogies that are helpful for people to understand and easily digestible and also inspiring. Like the Les Brown talking about how, the bamboo tree and how you have to water it every single day. And when
Yeah.
you're watering it every day for years, it's a long time. It's like 9 months you got to water a bamboo tree in the ground. And if you don't every day, it's going to die right there in the ground. And
Wow.
his whole thing is, when you're not, his analogy is when you have a dream and you're talking to people and they think you're crazy. They think you're crazy, like you're watering this thing every day, and your neighbors are walking past saying, "Gavin, you're a little crazy watering this thing every day. What are you watering? There's nothing there," right? But they say that this thing grows to max height like within a short amount of time, like a matter
Wow.
of a couple of days.
Mm.
So it shoots right up. And then I'm
Wow.
like, whoa, what is this? Are you hiring? I want involved.
Yeah, and then they ask how you do it. First they ask why,
Yeah.
what are you doing, and then they ask how you did it. And it's
And then
like,
they'll also say that you're lucky.
yeah, you're lucky. You got lucky.
You're lucky.
Been
What?
watering that bamboo tree for a minute.
Oh, I've lost hundreds of, like, almost $200,000 in working with startups that had failed, like, and personally invested into this company, one particular I'm thinking of, and that was devastating. That changed my whole life and perspective. It
Yep.
almost like scared me away from business and being an entrepreneur. That happened
Yeah.
like 5 years, 6 years ago. Yeah, so
Wow.
there's a lot there.
Yeah. No, absolutely, absolutely. I think it kind of. Oh, you kind of froze on me. It's back. It's back.
We're
Can you hear?
online.
Can you hear me?
I hear you great. You hear me?
All right. Cool. 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 So no, I definitely agree. Those are some good analogies too. Thanks for throwing that in there. So I guess wrapping up here, it's been awesome, by the way. Thanks so much for joining this. I know people are gonna get a lot out of this,
Mhm.
and I definitely appreciate and value you and what you want to do and the impact you want to make in the world. It's definitely inspiring to myself. So first want to say that, but just wrapping up, I wanted to ask,
Likewise.
yeah, amen, amen. So I wanted to ask, you know, my favorite thing about you is not, your business savvy, your intelligence, your network. My favorite thing about you is your faith. And I think that's something we share in common. And, um, you know, I wanted to ask, how you connect faith into just your life and how it like impacts your business. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind just touching on that, would you say?
So with me, we all have our mechanisms to protect happiness.
Yeah.
I think I think one of my biggest ways that I protect my happiness is by having faith and hope that, to quote Steve Jobs, like somehow these you can't connect the dots looking forward in life. You can only connect them looking backward. You can only
Mm,
keep moving and somehow hope the dots are going to connect in your future. And that's kind of something that stuck with me because life is going to be unpredictable. Things are going to happen that you're not going to see, and you're going to get blindsided by it. And it's the way that we react to
mm,
things rather than how we act to things that happen to us. I believe that there's a certain degree of expectation that people have in life that I've not fully done away with. It takes a lot of practice to get to that level where you're expecting nothing out of people. But
yeah.
my one of the things that work for me is just understanding that what will be, what will be. Whatever happens is going to happen, and
Mm,
we're going to have to react in a way that is productive. And if we expect the best of every situation, then we're going to be devastated when things don't work out our way.
yeah.
So it's very important for 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 me in my mental state personally, and I preach this to people. I tell them, like, look, you have to approach different things in life as, what is the worst case scenario? Like, what is the
Yeah.
absolute worst case scenario? Especially like
Yeah.
you guys in like their 20s, they have all this pressure in their heads. It's all made up. It's like, what is the worst thing that's going to happen to you? You're going to have to like move in with a family member or something. Is that the worst that's going to happen? Like we like to say land of opportunity, and there's a lot of opportunity here for everyone. And I think that they just can't just don't put so much pressure on yourself. And
Mm,
I think that once you can release some of that pressure, you can start letting things go at your own pace, and you don't
mm,
have to worry about what other people think or what they'll say. So just focus on your pace and know your end goal and just work towards that. And it could be as big or small as it could be. It's like, what do I like to plan? I like to plan my next day, my next week, and my next 3 months. I think that sometimes helps me understand, like, conceptualize, like, if you have a goal that seems pretty big and it's going to take a lot of moving around and like calling people and calling in resources, like 3 months is like a fair amount of time for something. But it all depends on what it is, and it's all relative. But bottom line is, keep your expectations in check and understand that everything is going to be just fine.
yeah. No, I
Whatever,
love.
it fails, it sucks, whatever, then move on to something else.
Yeah. No, absolutely, absolutely. No, I love that. It's not always easy though. You know what I mean? But I like how you broke that down into simple steps. With is just things are going to work out the way they need to work out, and ultimately, in the big picture, we're not in control. God's in control, and He already wrote the story, and we get to live it out each day. And obviously, He gives us freedom, to make choices and make decisions, and choose to do different things. But like you said, it's going to work out the way it needs to work out. And I think people, once they truly understand that, like, it brings us peace. You know what I mean? That we
Yeah.
don't have to have it all figured out, and that it is going to work out for the best in the end. Because we saw, especially during COVID, I keep relating back to this, but I know it's super relevant for people to relate to. And there was a lot of big changes in the world, and I think it was just a big wake up call for everybody, that, like, hey, like, life is precious, it is meaningful. I know you and I have had a lot of deep conversations about that. And so no, I really appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, you got to do what makes you comfortable. You got to be comfortable. If you're
Absolutely.
not comfortable, you're never going to be happy. And if you're not happy, you're not going to make the right decisions, and there's a whole trickle down that happens. And it's just be comfortable. And like I as an entrepreneur, it's like, I know sometimes it's also, I would even say to people, like, I don't enjoy being comfortable. I want to keep being challenged.
Yep.
And there's definitely a very fine line there,
Yeah.
but be comfortable to the point where you're not over allocated, and you're not being too risky. I was reckless as an entrepreneur. I wasn't entirely reckless. I was always involved in the teams, involved in what I invested in. Um, but man, now it's like positioning is everything in
Yeah.
this economy. It's like how you're positioning yourself in like just geographically, like what city should you live in based off of what you're trying to achieve. Like position yourself in certain places where certain types of people are going to be. Position yourself in conversations where it's like you're wearing the hat of a new world builder, right? You're wearing the hat of an athlete. You're wearing the hat of someone that lives their life with excellence and doesn't take any less. You know, it's like you have to figure out what hat you're wearing and keep the hat on. You can hang the hat at night when you get home, but you got to put it back on, the theoretical hat back on when you walk out the door. You know,
Yeah.
it's like the perception is always going to be people's reality.
Mm.
The way you perceive is your reality, and that person's reality might be completely different. You might have it all wrong, but it's the way it's perceived.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
person that's putting that perception out there can't change that unless well, they can, but they have to like have the information that that person perceives what they were doing kind of the wrong way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So outside of entrepreneurship, outside of, all the cryptocurrency and everything, obviously, I know outside of that, but just so everyone else could just get to know you better as a human being, as a person, what are some hobbies and passions that you enjoy doing?
So always been a little bit of a car guy, and being here in Los Angeles and moving out here 10 years ago to be an entrepreneur and not knowing exactly what I wanted to get into, but having had a corporate car for a few years in New York, I figured this is my time to get the car that I wanted and look for something very specific. And trying to find it was a task, but in the meantime, finding all sorts of other interesting cars that I would then take on and restore as just like a hobby. Gained a couple relationships with different shops in the valley with body and upholstery and mechanic, all local to each other. So it became like this fun hobby of mine, and it's now spiraling into its own venture called Car Club. And it's a way for people to swap in and out of similar value cars, a different category, and also interface with their mechanic shop, to where it's like a check engine light pops on. You can schedule the drop off. They give you a push note for pickup. You can see over time you can build value of your car by over time having your car on platform and seeing how many check engine lights you've had over the 10 years and the 50,000 miles, and how many check engine lights popped on and how fast was it repaired, and all stuff is very important data when building the reputation and the value of your car over time. And when you go to resell it, you might have 5 options of that year, make, model, color, package, everything. And you're going to take that one that had the least amount of issues and the most amount of useful data. Like, what was the average speed of these cars? Which one was 60? That's your highway car versus the 20, which is the city. So yeah, I think Car Club is more of like a passion project, but also it's now spiraling into a business. For me, it was like, I could take on a car. I could do like 4 a year legally to stay under the radar. So I would buy cars and I would restore them, and then I would have free transportation, and then unload to get some other car that I would want or be interested in, or maybe somebody needs or something. So I mean, outside of that, the car stuff is definitely I would say one of the biggest passions of mine. I'd spend a lot of time watching videos of people who inspire me and and that are leading important projects that making impact. I like all topics like science, technology, the environment, into all this kind of stuff. Whenever I'm eating alone, I'm always watching at least like some kind of like 5 to 15-minute video that's gonna better myself one way or another.
That's awesome.
So, but I'm also like your adventurer, and I'm going out like we were hiking in the desert in Pioneer
Yeah.
Town. Like I like getting out there and experiencing life and meeting new people and like understanding who they are and what they need in life. And maybe because like for me, it's always like a constant search of like, wow, we need each other.
Yeah.
You know, that like sense of unity when two people are relying on each other in a certain way. It's like it's so valuable. It's
Absolutely.
the high tide rise all ships business model.
Absolutely. I mean, like you said earlier, is like, you know, we really can't do anything alone in this world. You know, if we want to make an impact, be influential and be successful, you know, we need other people. And then, you know, just to expand upon that, like as far as, you know, just like the mental health you talked about, we need other people, you know, socially, like we're social creatures. We need other people to thrive and be the best versions of ourselves. You know, if we're, you know, staying inside and we're just in a box all day, we're going to go crazy. I can speak from experience. You know, we need to be out and be around people and out in nature, like you said, going on a hike or something. You know, it's like just staying active mentally, socially, physically. It all intertwines, as you know.
It's everything. It's everything. All balance.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, that's all I got, my man. I really appreciate you coming on and giving some knowledge to everyone, and then you know, being transparent, as you said, and letting them know a little bit about yourself. How can they find you as far as, you know, social media and websites and such?
Well, Realm is at realm.life. So through that website, you can go in there and get the overview of what it is. There's also a drop down for Car Club, so they can learn more about what Car Club is. That's kind of like the go to market strategy of Realm, because with Realm being that exchange marketplace between people, property, and experience, we tie in Car Club as the go to market strategy. As a car is very easy to share; they're on wheels,
Yeah.
so let's start
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So yeah, go into realm.life and see Car Club there. And when you get into the site, there's all sorts of ways to get in touch with us.
Love that. Love that. And then Instagram is Manny.Roman. And if you want to,
Gabe,
or
Gabe,
Manny.Game, my bad, my
my
bad.
middle name,
Manny.Game.
abbreviation of my middle name.
And then if you want to see the cutest dog ever, Tank, uh, French Bulldog, he's got his own Instagram too. What's his Instagram again?
He's
Is he
sleeping.
right there? Is he right
Yeah,
there?
he's sleeping.
Yeah, but we gotta show him.
Part of the exit.
Hey, there he is.
She's
Got a
so
new special guest. New special guest. What's up, Tank?
Like, what's happening? What's happening?
Oh, he's loving it. He's got his own NFT.
Oh yeah, they're looking at doing that. NF Tank.
NF Tank. I love that.
We already got the artwork. Maybe we'll launch it one of these days.
Oh yeah, he's going viral. The world's got to know about Tank.
Oh, he's the best.
That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate your time coming on here, and yeah, thanks again, my man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Always great to talk to you. I'm so proud of you and everything that you've achieved and staying focused on your dream. Dude, keep it up.
Thanks, my man. Thanks, my man. I really appreciate those words, especially coming from yourself, man. They mean the world. I really appreciate it.
It's so great to see you that night when you came by and you're like, this is happening. You were so excited. It was so great to see someone in their element like that. Just like, it's happening. Like, it's happening.
Yeah, happening. You know, just the beginning for both of us. We got a lot more to come, and yeah, I'm excited for both of us.
So. Yeah, and that's all it takes sometimes, just being excited about the future.
Amen, amen. All right, my brother. We'll talk soon. Thanks again for coming on.
Thank you all for tuning in to the Galvanize with Gavin podcast. I hope you were inspired and empowered to reach your fullest potential in life. For more resources, visit gavinjohns.com. For businesses interested in sponsoring the podcast, visit gavinjohns.com/sponsor. Thank you all, and God bless.